What if Commander Cody removed his inhibitor chip before Order 66? Folks, sometimes you just have those stories that you really enjoy writing, recording, and I really like this one, so I hope you do as well. I don't know, something just about it. I like it a lot, so hope you enjoy. Let's get right into it. Months before the Battle of Utapau, Commander Cody and Captain Rex were spending a late night together on Ryloth. They were sent out together to be the final reinforcements in securing the planet, and that night, after the victory, Cody noticed Rex was not his usual self. Something was bothering him, and Rex began telling Cody of his recent discovery. All of the clone troopers had an inhibitor chip inside of them that would keep them in line, loyal to the Republic. But Rex feared there could be more to it, though he had no proof. And upon learning of this, it scared Cody as well. There was a chip having some control over him in his brain. It all seemed a bit too strange, and after a month, it bothered Cody until he just couldn't take it anymore. He was awake, all alone in his quarters aboard a Republic ship late at night, when he snuck off to the medical bay and had an operation performed on him to remove the chip. It was risky, and the medical droid did not advise the operation, but Cody needed it out, and so the droid removed it and Cody felt free. He didn't have any hatred towards the Republic, but it was like there was just a bit more free will. Like a nightmare deep inside of him had just disappeared, and so Cody began experimenting on the chip, trying to find a way to disable it, and after an hour or so, he found a frequency through his comlink that caused the chip to malfunction and be disabled. This was something he promised to remember, and as for why these were truly necessary, Cody could not put a finger on it. He wanted to tell Rex, but he was instead called back to Coruscant to prep for the Battle of Utapau to help Obi-Wan take out General Grievous. And now, back in the present day, Cody stood looking at the side of the cavern where Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi was climbing a lizard creature, headed to aid the clone troopers like he always did. Cody admired Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan admired Cody. They were more than partners in this war. To Cody, Obi-Wan was as close as someone other than the clones could be to his brother, and as Cody watched him go, his comlink beeped. New orders, perhaps, and so Cody answered to see the face of a wrinkled, strange-looking man that Cody quickly realized was Chancellor Palpatine. His voice spoke to all of the clones on Utapau, telling them the time has come. Execute Order 66. Cody noticed a lot of the firing stop from the clones around him, like they all recognized the order, but he did not. He said, "I'm sorry," and Palpatine said the time has come to execute the Jedi for treason, and if the clones do not comply, then they are to be executed as well. Cody was dumbfounded. He couldn't move. He was loyal to the Republic, to the Chancellor, of course, but Obi-Wan did nothing to provoke this. And then Cody heard Palpatine order the clones to kill Cody if he would not comply, and then kill Obi-Wan. So without hesitating, Cody ended the message, throwing a smoke grenade at his feet and taking off for the cavern. Blind blaster bullets flew by Cody as he slid into the canyon, covering his head as he rolled, falling down an entire story. Cody landed in pain, but there was no time to waste. He looked far down below where he saw water, and he jumped before his brothers could find him. Back in the battle, Obi-Wan was engaging a group of battle droids when he sensed a shift. The clones stopped firing altogether and aimed at Obi-Wan. There was no time for negotiation, and Obi-Wan whistled for the boga, which yelped and ran in, knocking the squad of clones away as Obi-Wan hopped on. For some reason, that squad of clones had gone rogue, and so Obi-Wan called for Cody. Cody answered, telling Obi-Wan they had to get out of here. Something has happened. The clones are being controlled by something, and they've been ordered to execute all of the Jedi. Obi-Wan could not believe it, but Cody said it was the truth, then sent Kenobi coordinates where they would meet with a ship. Obi-Wan received the coordinates and sent his boga in the opposite direction as a distraction, and then he took off for the location. Cody got into a Republic fighter and took off discreetly through the Utapau sinkhole. He had to get to Obi-Wan and figure this out. As he flew through the sinkhole, a spotlight from a Republic search crew was shot down on him, and an announcement boomed out, saying an unauthorized Republic fighter was flying through the arena. Within seconds, 3 other Republic fighters were behind Cody, and so he took evasive maneuvers to escape them. He had an opening to get away, but he had to get to Kenobi first. Cody flew through a tunnel, where Obi-Wan was waiting on the other side. Cody had to trust that Kenobi was smart enough to know that he did not have time to stop. The Jedi Master would have to jump for it, and it would have to be timed perfectly. Cody sped up as the fighters behind him were barely missing with their shots. And Obi-Wan stood on the platform, watching as Cody flew towards him with 3 fighters chasing behind. Obi-Wan called to Cody on the comlink, telling him to do a backwards flip upon exiting the tunnel. Obi-Wan told Cody to not argue and just trust him, and Cody sighed and said, "Yes, sir," as Obi-Wan prepared. Cody exited the tunnel and pulled straight up, giving Obi-Wan the opportunity he needed. Obi-Wan jumped into the air, cutting his lightsaber through one of the clone fighters, causing it to crash into another one. The third fighter had to pull away, and Kenobi landed perfectly on Cody's ship as Cody ended his flip. Cody couldn't help but chuckle as he and Obi-Wan escaped the planet, entering hyperspace for Coruscant. After they safely escaped, Obi-Wan sat down next to Cody, asking to know everything going on. And Cody said that a while back, when Skywalker and Rex were investigating the sudden execution of a Jedi by Clone Tup, Rex discovered inhibitor chips in the clones' brains. The excuse from the Republic was that these chips were meant to keep the clones in line, but clearly they were meant to destroy the Jedi. Obi-Wan asked how they were activated, and Cody hesitated before saying it was Palpatine. Obi-Wan sat back, extremely disturbed. Windu and the Council was right. There was a plot to destroy the Jedi, and Palpatine orchestrated it from the start. He was in charge of everything, and he waited for the Jedi to be spread across the galaxy to execute his ultimate plan. Obi-Wan asked if there was any hope, and surprisingly, Cody said yes. After Cody removed his chip, he found a way to disable it by playing a certain frequency. Palpatine must have designed this to disable it in case the chip worked against him somehow. Obi-Wan knew the Jedi Temple was likely under siege right now from the 501st. He could only hope that Masters Windu, Tin, Kolar, Fisto, and even his former apprentice Anakin, he could only hope they were able to hold the temple down until they arrived. And when they did, Obi-Wan and Cody planned to get to the communications room, get to the temple intercom system, and blast the frequency, disable the chips. He knew the clones would be sieging. They could still get there in time. But as Obi-Wan and Cody emerged from hyperspace, they realized they may be too late. The temple was on fire, smoke was spreading to the sky, and it was a sight that Obi-Wan could not bear to see. His home, his entire life, up in flames because of the Chancellor. Thousands of his friends likely dead inside, but he and Cody still had to try to save the clones and any possible Jedi. So together they landed the Republic fighter on a balcony and jumped into the temple. They moved in silently. Blaster fire, screams could be heard in the distance, and it seemed like this level had been cleared. Obi-Wan had to step over countless bodies. Some he recognized, some he did not. Most of the fallen Jedi were students, teachers, priests, guards. Very few were actual trained warriors, and these clones slaughtered them like animals. As they turned a corner, Obi-Wan had to get back behind a wall as a group of clones was patrolling, making sure the entire area was secure. Cody emerged, pulling rank on them and telling them that it was secure and to turn around. One of the clones, who Obi-Wan recognized to be Commander Oppo, pointed his blaster at Cody, saying they have direct orders from the Chancellor's office to kill Cody for treason, along with Obi-Wan. But before he could finish, the clones were pulled towards Cody with the Force. Cody turned on stun and knocked the entire group out before they realized what was happening. So the entire Grand Army knew that Cody was an enemy. Great. And they continued on through the temple, and it got eerily quieter as the last of the Jedi were dying. Obi-Wan signaled Cody as they approached a new group of patrolling clone troopers. With a nod, they split, engaging separate clusters of enemies. Obi-Wan's lightsaber moved through the air as he did his best to take out the clones without killing them. The Force enhanced his moves, leaving no chance for the unsuspecting clones, as they were knocked unconscious, or killed only if necessary. While Commander Cody, a silent ghost, utilized stealth and Kenobi's distraction, his blaster was set to stun, and he took out troopers with precision, not missing a shot. The duo got back to each other, their silent communication understood now, as Obi-Wan heard a larger group running their way, and so he pointed up to the vents above them. Obi-Wan lifted Cody into the vent and jumped into it himself just in time. They crawled through the system, overhearing clone communications below them about Jedi sightings. Obi-Wan wondered who the clones were reporting to, but a moment later, he felt his entire world shatter. One of the clones said, "Yes, sir. On my way, General Skywalker. Have the younglings been dealt with?" and the clone group took off running. Obi-Wan was frozen in place. He wanted to scream, wanted to cut down everything and everyone, and then he wanted to fight Anakin. He did this. He was what Palpatine was waiting for. But Obi-Wan centered himself, as he did when Qui-Gon died, when Satine died, and he focused on the mission. Cody didn't have the words, so he just said they must continue on, and after some time, they reached the communications room, knocking out the squad of clone troopers protecting it. Cody plugged into the temple intercom system and began cycling through different frequencies on his comlink. Throughout the temple, there was only a slight buzzing until Cody found it. The frequency played, and all throughout the temple, clones were grabbing at their heads, falling to their knees in pain. But after about 10 seconds, every single clone trooper in the Jedi Temple had their inhibitor chip disabled, and now it was Obi-Wan's turn. He spoke into the comlink, telling everyone that he and Commander Cody have disabled a chip inside of their brains, forcing them to turn against the Jedi. Obi-Wan pushed through, saying this was done by Chancellor Palpatine, a Sith Lord that played both sides of the war, along with Jedi Anakin Skywalker. And Obi-Wan ordered the clones to find and arrest Anakin. Around the temple, the clones realized they were tricked. They all looked at each other, then looked around the temple at the countless dead Jedi, realizing they didn't even realize why they were doing this. Palpatine and Anakin said treason, but these Jedi were children, teachers, instructors. What have they done? They all wondered to themselves. And Anakin had his lightsaber ignited, looking down at the younglings as Obi-Wan's message rang out through the temple. And once it ended, at least 10 clones ran up behind Anakin from the elevator, blasters charged and ready, telling Skywalker to stand down or they will shoot to kill. Anakin turned, using a force push to send the clones away, then jumped through the tower window. But as he did, one of the clones got a shot off, and it seared into Anakin's shoulder. Anakin's jump was interrupted, and now he was falling down to the roof without control. The pain of the blast was immense, and Anakin tried to use the force to stop his fall, but instead he only blasted a hole in the roof, and fell through that instead. Obi-Wan heard the commotion, and ran in to see Anakin falling, so he quickly used the force to catch Anakin, as Cody aimed and fired a stun blast, knocking Anakin unconscious, as Obi-Wan floated him to the ground, and ordered his arrest. Anakin was handcuffed, and brought to the temple prison as Obi-Wan watched him go, with tears of failure in his eyes. His student caused this. Anakin was his failure, and Obi-Wan had to try to make up for it, so he and Cody assumed direct control of the 501st, telling them they must march together to Palpatine's office, do what is necessary. There were around 3,000 total members of the 501st remaining in the temple, and all of them lined up behind Obi-Wan and Cody as he led them down the temple stairs, mirroring how they came in with Anakin. Every single one of the troopers felt an immense sense of betrayal from the Chancellor's office. They were tricked, forced to kill thousands of innocents. Now they would get revenge. Obi-Wan, Cody, and the 501st marched through Coruscant until they turned the corner to Palpatine's office, just to be met with immediate resistance. In front of the Republic Executive Building, where Palpatine's office resided, Commander Fox of the Coruscant Guard was pacing back and forth in front of the entire Coruscant Guard Legion, a large group of elite clones assigned specifically to protect Coruscant and its executives, including Palpatine. And because Cody was only able to play his frequency through the Jedi Temple, the Coruscant Guard was still under the influence of Order 66. This meant they were more than ready to kill Obi-Wan, Cody, and every member of the 501st. And on a Republic landing bay in front of the executive building, Obi-Wan and Cody came face to face with Commander Fox. Cody told Fox to stand down. Palpatine is the traitor, not the Jedi. But Fox was not having it. He lifted his blaster, and all 1,500 members of the Coruscant Guard did as well, as Fox said they have committed treason and are to be executed. Obi-Wan ignited his lightsaber, and Cody got in line with the 501st as they all set their weapons to stun. And a moment later, a terrible battle would unfold at the heart of the Republic shipyard in front of the executive building. The 501st Clone Legion clashed with the Coruscant Guard, both renowned for their loyalty, both among the most famous legions, now fighting each other. Clones in blue versus clones in red, a reflection of the Jedi versus the Sith. The air was filled with the scent and the sound of blaster fire as the two legions engaged in a brutal conflict. Commander Cody and Obi-Wan Kenobi led the 501st, their coordinated tactics a testament to their years together. And on the opposing side, Commander Fox orchestrated the defense with ruthless efficiency and loyalty. The sound of blasters, screaming, orders reverberated through the shipyard, where the clang of metal against metal was punctuated by the occasional explosion. The 501st had the advantage in numbers, while the Coruscant Guard had the advantage in skill. For Cody and many members of the 501st, this battle was reminiscent of Umbara, when General Pong Krell forced clones to fight each other. And now General Skywalker, along with Palpatine, orchestrated this fight. For the Guard, this fight was for the Republic. For the 501st, it was about their brothers, whether clones or Jedi, and they poured in, pushing the Guard back slowly but surely. As the battle raged on, the shipyard became a gruesome reflection of the war, clones falling for what they think has been right. Stun blasts render some troopers unconscious, while others, struck by lethal shots, lie motionless on the cold metal surface. The air was thick with tension as the commanders made split-second decisions, grappling with this reality. And amidst the chaos, Obi-Wan and Cody navigated the conflict, trying to end it quickly, limiting the losses. Their commitment to the clones, to the Jedi pushing them forward, as they overran the Coruscant Guard. Commander Fox was trying to push the 501st back, but Obi-Wan sliced into his leg and pushed him away with the Force. Fox ordered his men back inside of the executive building as he tried to get to his feet, calling up the Chancellor, telling him that he should evacuate. But Palpatine had other ideas. Once he knew Fox and the Guard were overrun, he called up to the Republic blockade above Coruscant and ordered them to fire down to the shipyard, destroy the 501st for treason. Palpatine told them to show no mercy and to not hesitate. Obi-Wan and Cody were about to push forward with their troops into the building when suddenly the sky got even darker. The sunrise was cut off by a Republic Venator-class Star Destroyer pulling closer to the ground, and the 501st realized what this meant. Palpatine was taking drastic measures to kill them all. Cody looked to the ground, where Fox was trying to limp away to the building, a lightsaber gash in his leg, and Cody sprinted after him, knocking Fox to the ground. Fox's helmet came off, and Cody punched him, making sure he stayed down so Cody could play the frequency in his head. After 10 seconds, Fox came to, realized what was happening. He looked past Cody to see the Star Destroyer preparing to fire, and Cody begged him to see the truth. Not only was Palpatine a traitor controlling them all, but he was now ordering a Star Destroyer to kill the 501st and all of the stunned Coruscant Guard members. Fox closed his eyes, then grabbed his comlink and called up to the Venator Star Destroyer above them, and Fox gave new orders to the ship, explaining everything. For Fox, his loyalty was to the Republic, and this realization of a traitor controlling the Republic gave all the reason he needed for these new orders. In his office, Palpatine looked down to the battleground below. He stood alone in the executive building, as everyone else was evacuated upon the battle beginning. The clones would die, along with Obi-Wan, and he would go find Anakin. He would always win. Palpatine looked to the sky, at the Star Destroyer, but suddenly its cannons were shifted away from the battlefield, and instead towards him. And in one instant, it was over. The Star Destroyer blasted directly into the office of Palpatine, obliterating him as he realized the clones, his greatest secret, turned against him. The Sith Lord was gone. The Republic had won. And after a long while, the Republic Senate was in session waiting for the news. All anyone knew was there was a huge battle in front of the executive building, and the Chancellor's office was blown up. Senators suspected the clones joined the Jedi in their suspected treason, but eventually a Senate pod rose, with Bail Organa, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Cody, and Fox at the center of it. Cody brought evidence of the chip, saying it controlled the clones, and upon addressing the communication from the executive building to all of the clones, they were all under its influence, but now they were saved from the frequency. They were told the Jedi committed treason, when in reality it was the Chancellor who controlled the Separatists, creating this war for his own gain. The Senate was in uproar, and it was announced that Bail Organa would become interim Chancellor, while the war effort finally comes to an end. Inside of the Jedi Temple prison, Obi-Wan released Anakin from the archaic Jedi holding cell, and Anakin was dropped to his knees. His force-restraining handcuffs kept him from being a threat, and Anakin was angry, until someone else entered the room. It was Padme, pushing a pod with 2 twin children inside of it. Anakin's children. And Anakin was frozen, completely broken, as he did everything for Padme. She wasn't supposed to survive childbirth without him. It was clear now. Palpatine manipulated him. Luckily, because Anakin never killed the younglings, there was still so much light in him, and in this moment the darkness was killed, as Anakin saw it for what it was, a lie. At Padme's request, after about a month of imprisonment, Anakin was released, but expelled from the Jedi Order for good. He was allowed to go off, be with Padme and the children, as Padme still saw the good in him. It took her a while, but she did it. And as Anakin was preparing to leave, Obi-Wan came up behind him to say goodbye. Obi-Wan said he's been meditating, trying to find peace, and now he knows he can finally stop wondering if he can ever forgive Anakin. And Anakin looked up with hope in his eyes. Anakin wanted his master, his friend, his brother back. He was so sorry for everything. But Obi-Wan hesitated before saying that he cannot do it. Obi-Wan said the temple was beautiful, the order was peaceful, he loved it, and Anakin took it away. He said now that every time he looks at Anakin, all he can see is the security holograms of him bringing his lightsaber down on innocent students, the look of evil in Anakin's eyes. So Obi-Wan said that even though he knows Anakin is trying, he can never forgive him, though he is trying to, because he doesn't want to feel this pain any longer, but he just can't do it. And Anakin watched with tears in his eyes as Obi-Wan turned the corner without looking back. He would go on to rebuild the Jedi Order, while Anakin goes to live the life he thought he always wanted. And folks, that's our story for today. The final scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan, I really wanted to mirror, so I just finished watching The Walking Dead, all 11 seasons, and there was a scene where 2 people are apologizing, trying to, find peace. And one says, I just can't forgive you no matter what, and I thought it was a really, really great scene, and I was like, I'm going to put that into my fan fiction. So that's what I did today with Anakin and Obi-Wan. If you know that scene, let me know. Anyways, appreciate you watching. Yeah, thanks a lot, I guess. And I'll see you in the next video. Please leave a like, by the way. Means a ton. You're all the best. Alright, see you later.